Newark has certainly seen a spike in violence this summer. One by one, Newark has seen another one of its children lost to gun violence. The summer kicked off with a drive-by shooting resulting in the death of an off-duty police officer. Then in mid-July, 13 people shot in 3 separate incidents in less than 24 hours. A 15-year-old died. Following that shooting, we spoke with angered Newark residents and activists, one who said the mayor, Cory, was leaving them out to die.
The mayor refuses to address it. He refuses to address the community. All he keeps telling us is that, he's working, he's building up the community to make it safer for us. But we don't see any of the results. We see new hotels and stuff going up in our downtown area. We see new construction. But when we look at the issues of violence and we look at the employment, there's nothing for us. He's like really just leaving the community out there to die in a sense.
And then this past weekend, 2 more deadly shootings. 2 promising young women, they'll be buried this week. One, a teacher who died shielding a young child from bullets. The other, a corrections officer who leaves behind a 1-year-old daughter. Anger over the violence reaching a fever pitch now as Newark has its night out against crime tonight. And joining us now to talk about the conditions of his city is the mayor, Cory Booker. Mayor Booker, thank you very much for a few minutes. I appreciate it.
No, I'm glad to be able to talk with you.
Listen, we have the Safe Summer Initiative that's right now going through your city. Talk about the conditions. Some people say that this summer of violence has reached a crisis level. Is that a fair characterization?
Well, whenever you have anyone murdered, especially a teacher or a correctional officer, it's a crisis. We are in our nation, I think, tolerate way too much violence. And whether it's Newark or Patterson or Camden or Detroit or Chicago. So we have to find a way to shut this down, plain and simple. And so we're treating it like it is a crisis. And we've called in federal authorities with more FBI and DEA and Marshals cooperation. We've got more state police now helping patrol the neighborhoods. We're putting everything we got out there on the streets. And today here at this event, we're calling for the community to step up more because right now, the difference makers in the last week in helping us stop carjackings, get drug dealers, wanted shooters off our streets, and actually recovering a heck of a lot of guns, including semi-automatic weapons. This has come from residents who've gotten sick and tired of this and have spoken up for us. So this is a crisis. We have a severe challenge going on in American cities and here in Newark as well. And we're not going to take this sitting down. We're coming out fighting.
What did it tell you? I mean, you could read it 2 ways. Today, your city recovered the 4th AK-47 in just the last couple weeks. I guess on the half-full side, you say, good, you got it off the street. But on the con side, these are just the semi-automatic weapons you've recovered. How much gun violence is your city facing here night after night?
But it's even worse than that. It's not only the semi-automatic weapons, the AK-47s and the Tech-9s, but when we go into these places, we see multiple high-capacity magazines. So that means with our cops carrying guns with 12 bullets in them, these guys are carrying weapons with 30-plus bullets available to them in one magazine and often have 2 and 3 magazines with them. This is outrageous that these kind of weapons and these high-capacity magazines are on our streets. And it's why that when you have one shooting on a street corner like we had in the month of July, that you have 8 people shot. So we are fighting a serious battle out here, and thank God it's not worse than it is, and thank God we're getting some of these guns off the streets, and thank God the residents are pulling together. But we have a lot of work to do here in the city of Newark and in other cities. Look, we have a lot of hope in Newark. Businesses are coming back. We're building our first new hotels in our downtown in 40 years, our first new downtown tower in 20 years, new community movie theaters, parks expansions. There's so many signs of hope in and around Newark, and the crime in many ways is being isolated to a certain areas of our city and involving very limited numbers of individuals. But these individuals are carrying weapons that allow them to do a lot more serious damage to each other. And that's the frustrating part about it, is young black men are out here killing young black men. And we've got to do something about it. And if the solutions are within the neighborhoods, the solutions are also at the federal gun policies as well, about putting more resources and stopping criminals from getting hands on guns.
As we know, though, it's not just a drug turf war that claims victims. Dawn Reddick, as you mentioned, a shining star that came out of Newark, a substitute teacher, literally in shielding a little girl, lost her life. And we spoke to residents afterwards, and there was one haunting quote from a young mother who said, I have a 14-year-old brother who looks like he's 25, and I'm scared for him. Cory Booker can't save him. What do you say to residents who don't see the light at the end of the tunnel?
Well, first of all, we are a city of hope and resiliency, and that's been proven time and time again. There's actually been times in this last decade that there was more shooting going on in our city, and we managed to drive those levels down. She's right. Cory Booker is not going to ride in on a white horse and save it. It's not just me. If it's ever up to just one politician to make a difference, we're not going to win this battle. It's got to be all of us. We can save ourselves. We have the capacity. We have the strength. And this is not a time to surrender hope. This is not a time to sink into cynicism. This is a time to say, hey, wait a minute, this is not going to happen on our streets. We're not going to give up our communities to this level of crime and violence. And I know, I've seen it happen before, right after the shooting of the 4 college students back in 2007. Our communities rallied together, and it was followed by the most dramatic crime reduction in shootings that not only Newark had seen in a long time, but this nation. We were the second best city in America after that shooting in reducing gun violence. So please, I know the strength of my city. I know what we're capable of, but we just now need more people answering that call.
Do you have the resources, Mayor? You've had to do layoffs like other cities have in tough economic times. 167 officers were laid off, the most in more than 30 years. I know you asked for help from the feds and from the state. Do you have the resources you need to keep your streets safe?
It's outrageous that in this time of growing violence all around the state, that we're making horrible decisions. And that's not a result, let's not vilify anybody. That's a lot of people have to take responsibility for that. It's police unions at a time that everybody's taking pay cuts that insist on getting their pay raises. We could have saved police officers if we didn't do that. It's state policy, it's federal policy, it's a national economic decline, the worst we've seen in a generation. So there's a lot that's contributing to our reality, but these are just excuses. We cannot allow this to be our reason why we're surrendering to the situation. We cannot allow this to be the reason why we don't pull together and do everything that we could be doing and should be doing to address this problem. So I'm not a guy that is going to let circumstances control our destiny. We control our destiny, but we as a city have to pull together more. And I'm grateful this last 3 weeks, in the midst of all this, I've seen residents get more determined, step up, to organize more, to volunteer more, to do more things to make a difference. And lots of neighborhoods, frankly, are showing progress, actually, amidst all these challenges. So I've got a lot of hope. I am hope unhinged. I will not be deterred. I will not surrender to cynicism. We can do more, and we must do more. We must answer the call to peace. And I believe that in the midst of this trial, that Newark can emerge as one of those cities that shows light amongst the darkness, that shows a way out of the madness. And I think with all the signs of positive hope in our city that we've done over the last 4 years, that we can meet this challenge and transcend.
Well, thank you very much, Mayor Booker, for a few minutes. We're going to have more RFL, everyone, when we return. Please stay with us.